So let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. Sorry. And then we're going to do roll call, Todd.
Sure thing. Okay. Jessica.
Present.
And Ernest is not here, but we are anticipating him coming later. Jeanette.
Here.
Mary.
Here.
And we did get notice that Wolfgang would not be here tonight because she's not feeling well, or they're not feeling well. Catherine.
Here.
I believe Erica also sent notice that she would not be here. Andy sent notice he would not be here. And Lindell.
Here.
Great. So you have 5, so you have a quorum.
Okay. So now we get to recite our mission statement as awkwardly as we always do. Okay, act as a strong
advocate,
justice
and equal opportunity
by providing citywide leadership and guidance in the area of civil rights.
Before public comment, I also want to just add that in the chat so that everyone can see it, what we're saying. So before we go into public comment, oh wait, no, it copied everything. Just have a brief statement to read. So this is an opportunity for the public to speak. We ask that, we welcome your comments and to ask questions and to be thoughtful in the process. We have a maximum of 16 public comment time slots are allowed per meeting. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. The commission requests the members of the public refrain from engaging in personal attacks against the commissioners and staff members and ask the comments and questions focus on matters related to human rights in the city of Charlottesville. Do we have any public comments?
And we have one attendee. If you would like to speak, you can use the raise hand function. If you're joining by computer, if you're joining by phone, you can use *9 to raise your hand. No hands raised at the moment. Okay.
There will be another opportunity. We're gonna move on. Okay. So there's no response to public matters by the public because there were no public comments. So we have to go over the minutes from the retreat. Todd, I don't think this changes us potentially approving it, but I just noticed inconsistencies of sometimes they use your name, sometimes they reference ORC staff, sometimes they say commissioners, sometimes they say the staff member names. I just think it should be consistent. If we're just going to say commissioners, we should just say commissioners. If we're going to just say your name, we should just say your name, but it's not consistent in the document. And then the only other thing that the only other thing, but it's not really related to the minutes, so maybe I'll hold it, but it was just the summary of the 4 items that got taken out of it are not what I remember. The 4th one or the 3rd one wasn't what I remember, but we can get to there when we get to it. But that's my only comments about the meeting agenda notes.
Tell me again about the summary, and I can either work on that or I can pass that on to get the language changed if you'd like. Do you have a preference as to what we use there?
I think it was consistent that we don't use commissioners' names. So I don't know how y'all feel, but I just think it should just be one or the other, because sometimes it's calling out specific commissioner members. I don't know how y'all feel, but I just think either way it should be consistent. Do y'all have thoughts, preferences? No one cares about this but me.
No, I was just thinking, I hadn't thought about it prior.
The convention has been to use the word commissioner rather than to name people, unless unless it's, and we'll name staff if a certain staff person is speaking, like that's outside of OHR staff, like if Allison were to speak or something like that. So yeah, I can certainly make sure that this gets updated if you want to wait, or if you want to pass with those amendments, we can just make that amendment that all commissioner names be changed to commissioner and OHR staff names can be changed to OHR staff. Although now we have 2 staff people, so we might want to use names.
What? Well, so this, your staff member wasn't here, so we could say, like, just distinguish you, OHR, however.
We can list titles. That's fine. Yep.
Yeah, title. I think the titles would be fine, but so the places it's at is I don't know. It's on N4 work session underneath. It's very like detailed. It's on page, I don't know what page this is, number 7, where it says, no, not 7. I guess page 6, it says Todd.
Yep, I saw that.
Todd, and then right below it, I think it says Wolfgang's name. There's just spots where it's at. Yep.
And we do use names in the next steps if somebody specifically commits to a next step action item. So we will continue to do that to make it clear. But other than that, we can change that in the minutes. So if you could make a motion to accept with or pass or vote on them with those amendments if you choose.
Okay. I motion to pass this with those edits.
Second.
All right, ready to do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay. Jessica?
Yes.
Jeanette?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
And Lindell?
Yes.
And just to confirm, Andy, Erica, Wolfgang, and Ernest are not here.
You said Mary? I missed that.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, didn't hear. Okay, all right. So next on the agenda is chair updates. I don't have any updates other than, okay, and actually I do have updates. So let me go back to the email. There has been just some discussion with Ashley, Todd, and I in earnest about just planning for the 5th anniversary of the Taxon downtown. And Ashley was curious of like our thoughts and did we want to do something with the caveat that, not caveat, but with thoughts of potential hesitation of hosting something formal potentially that then is posted and then allows for people to ruin the spirit of it by plotting and coming to not have that. So Ashley has suggested to potentially, sorry, I'm going back to it. Close appropriate parks for the time appointed and place a subtle floor reef within the park structure. Also certainly close down Heather Street, again, placing tasteful reefs. In addition to the day of our social to go black, to blackout with the blackout icon and no posting. There is real hesitations about alienating activists within the community that feel there were grave missteps in what happened. And we also don't want to like post this and have like something, a memorial, and in the far right are close and may disrupt it. And so our thoughts were, yes, we'd love to have this conversation with Ashley. We'd love to have conversations with community members, activists in our city, what they're thinking. I like the idea of closing Heather's Street, and we can have the reef. A reef can be placed. I can't say that word. Reef can be placed in the city, and then we can have people potentially just coming into leaving flowers. So I'm curious of your guys's thoughts and what would you like us to do as the Human Rights Commission? Yes, Lindell.
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts, none of them particularly well formed yet. I do think there probably ought to be some community dialogue on this, because there are a lot of people who have strong feelings about this in different ways. I don't know if perhaps also talking to Susan Bro might be appropriate. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts at the moment. Just thinking that there should be some dialogue.
Catherine, I see your hand. I wanted to say the last thing I forgot to say is that there's also concern if we do have something, or i.e. the city has something, that again, an influx of people may come and then they're not able to manage it. Like the police are not able to manage the influx of people, or if something goes left. So that's the other piece, sorry, I left out. Yes, Catherine.
I just want to make sure I understood. You said Ashley Marshall mentioned closing parks, not just Heather Highway. So I have a very, very strong reaction to that. And I feel pretty confident that a number of other people will have a strong reaction to the idea of closing the parks. Those are places that we have more than once come together on this anniversary, that we feel like are our spaces, our meaning like our community's spaces, and to close them on that day is going to be, I think.
Sorry, I wanted to read the exact sentence. Close appropriate parks for the time being. She didn't specify which parks. Okay, I'm just
so
reading.
She's got to be talking about, no. The only parks that could be the appropriate parks. Let me just sound the alarm that would be a bad idea. Closing Heather Highway, I think we should close it and never reopen it personally. I think that's a great idea. Not closed, sorry, closed to cars. I don't mean closed to people. Like people can go there, and I do not think people's ability to go there should be regulated. Sorry, I want to be clear. I'm talking about closing that street to cars.
Agreed. Mary?
I just totally agree. I think closing the parks is, I don't think, I think people need, opportunities and outlets to be in community, and closing the park is a move in the wrong direction.
Agreed. Yes, Lindell.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you for articulating that, Catherine. My visceral reaction to hearing close the parks was, oh no. So yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty widespread response.
Any other feedback?
I'll just say I agree.
Okay, I will forward that email also to you. Okay, that was all my updates at the moment. Todd, you're up.
I'm going to pass the mic to Victoria first, and then I will follow her.
Hey y'all, happy Thursday. So I just wanted to give a couple of updates on the start of outreach work that I have been doing. I wanted to start by saying that since April, I have been working on getting connected to other agencies that serve our Charlottesville community to start building new relationships with organizations that maybe we haven't had the chance to meet with in a post-pandemic sense or at all, and to strengthen existing ones, just to make our service provision network a little bit stronger. Secondly, I'm working currently on a communications plan that will include timeframes for internally generated outreach programming, and also to include collaborations with external agencies. These are both part of a strategic I'm so sorry if you heard that. These are both part of a strategic outreach plan that I'm working on creating. And I wanted to bring this up to you all in case there's anything you would want to look over. I'm happy to send it. It's a little bit wordy now, so it's not part of the packet materials, but I'm very happy to share it with anybody who has the patience. In the packet, there are, however, some brochures that I've been working on as well. And these are in English and Spanish and cover fair housing in Virginia, the Office of Human Rights, and discrimination broadly. They're included in the packet in case anybody would like to submit any feedback on them. I super welcome it, and you can send it by phone or by email or however you would like to get in contact with our office. But I super welcome anybody who has any advice on them. I'm hoping to get them out sometime in June. So the time frame that I had in mind for getting feedback back would be Friday, June the 3rd. If you have any, like just after that, you can feel very free to send that over and I'll include it. And then once all of these steps are achieved, I'm also hoping to work on tracking and reporting methods for our office to measure the success of our initiatives going forward. So it's kind of the next step after I get the materials together to start doing outreach. So thank you all for your time. If there's anything you want to get connected on, please let me know.
Yes, please send it. Can you send me the list of events and things that you have? The document you have. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Jeanette, are you interested too? I know you're on the engage. Are you still on the engagement? Okay, yeah, I think to send it to both of us would be great. Thank you. And I apologize. I realized as soon as you started speaking, I was like, I haven't responded to your email on 5/3, so sorry.
It's totally okay. Thank you so much, though.
Great. I guess I'll jump in. Thanks, Victoria, for that summary, and note that I just want to give props to the brochures that she's been developing. I think it's a nice rethink of some of the things that we've put out in the past. And additionally, I think we've already made some tweaks to the green one in there, the more general human rights one. So what you're looking at there is one that we worked on, and right before sending to right after sending to the commission, we did some more tweaks on it. So you may catch some of the things that we already caught, but it's sort of a test to see if you're reading it, to see if we can find the same things that we found. How about that? Okay. In any case, my usual thing is attached with numbers. The incoming stuff remains high. The incoming contacts remain quite high as average per day. So that's to be expected. I think we were around 10 in April. Some of the data has not gotten in yet, but it's probably going to hover around 10 still. So it's been busy. That said, I think that in the report, you'll find all the usual stuff. I kind of revamped how I report the open cases, just to try to make that a little bit clearer to read and so forth. So other thing I want to try to get done as soon as we can is getting the CY21 report done in conjunction with the amended ordinance. So we kind of present both of those things to council at the same time. It's just been really tough to find like quiet, long stretches of time to do the writing that's required, but I think it's going to happen. And I've set myself the goal to get both of those done by the end of June. So hopefully that will be in the works, and I'll keep you posted on that. You'll of course get a copy when I get it done. Other little things that aren't in the report that have popped up, just so you know, there is a VAHR annual conference coming up on June 11th. It's going to be virtual. I think there's an option of both virtual and in person, but it's in Prince William. So if you're interested, I think, Jessica, I can't remember. I don't think it went to all commissioners. I think they actually used an old email list and they haven't resent it since I've updated the emails. So what I'm going to do is I'll just forward you the link. If you would like to join, you have to register for it, but you're all members of VHR if you want to attend. The focus is going to be on housing. Again, I don't think that it's a super formal program in terms of how they're going to talk about it, but it's a chance to network with other commissions if that's of interest, and hear about what they're doing with regard to housing, as I know that's become a focus for you all. So there's that. I'll send the link out after the meeting. Other things, Sue who was, I'm suddenly blanking on her last name. Help me, folks. Our former commissioner.
Lewis?
Sue Lewis. Thank you. For some reason, I was confusing Susie Wilbur and Sue Lewis for a moment there in my mind. Thank you. She is still attending VHR meetings, and she could attend as a sponsored former commissioner if the commission chooses to sponsor her. So I put that out as a query. If you feel comfortable doing that, I don't know that you need to vote on it per se, but if you feel comfortable with it and don't have any opposition to that, we can sponsor her as a continued member of VAHR. So I don't know, think on it. Let me know perhaps what your thoughts are on that. Jessica, maybe you want to lead that little bit of discussion, but that's something we should do. Beyond that, FOIA COIA training update and Virginia Public Records Act training. Allison Davies has offered to do that training with us. If you'd like, I can try to get her on the agenda for June. Jessica, let me know maybe if that seems right, depending on what you have in mind for the June agenda, but that offer is out there. Other than that, I think that's all I have. If you have questions about anything in the report, please reach out, or anything else that I haven't mentioned that you want an update on, just let me know.
So meaning sponsor Sue that means like a financial. I'm for it. I'm just kind of curious, what does that mean? Like,
it's a great question. The bylaws are kind of funny and they're under revision right now, but basically all we have to say is she offered to pay her own way. So so financially it's no big deal. And it would be, a nominal fee, because right now it's, they're starting to move toward a staggered kind of fee scale, so that commissions of a certain size pays this amount, anything above pays this amount, something like that. So regardless, it wouldn't be a financial burden. It's just a matter of acknowledging perhaps that she is sponsored by the former commission on which she served.
I don't have issues. I don't know if others feel strongly. Yes, Lindell, or sorry, Jeanette.
I think it would be helpful to explore if anyone on the current commission would like to go. I think having that connection and then being able to bring back the information to the commission would be really important. I'm not sure of like how big of a commitment, if I could even do that, but I think we should at least talk about it.
What time is it, Todd? I see it's a Saturday.
Yeah, forgive me, I forgot to mention the time. Okay. And I think it's a little rough at this point, but I know it's going to start at 10. And how long it lasts is a good question. I think there was talk of 10 to 2. I think they're going to have one more meeting before this to kind of finalize the agenda. But I imagine if it's virtual, it will not go that long. So yeah, but at least plan to attend at the 10 a.m. time starting. So. And I will plan to be there. Just
the second part of my question was like, is it just for this one event, or is like she acting as the representative for our for our city's commission?
No, Jessica and I are the representatives on any decision-making stuff, but she would have a vote as a sponsored member. I think that is the difference, because you can join as sort of like an ex officio, or not even that. I think there's another category of membership in which you don't have a vote, but if you are a sponsored member, you still have a vote in the membership on things. So, but she would not represent the commission's interest on like the board of I guess it's board of directors or board of advisors of the VAHR. Sorry if I'm tangling my terms. I don't think about VAHR all that often, so but that's the general gist of it.
And does each commission get one vote? Like if we sent 4 people, then would we get, 4 votes plus Sue, or how does that work?
That's a great question. I'd have to look at the bylaws. I can forward you those bylaws as well, and I will do that after the meeting. I think when it's in the annual meeting, I think there's 1 vote per commission or something like that. We'll have to look. I think when it comes down to voting for officers, I think it's a member by member vote, but I'll send you the bylaws and you can take a look at it.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I feel like that would be relevant in evaluating whether we want to, like, we only get one vote. I'm not sure I'm comfortable delegating it to someone who's not on the commission, but if we get like as many votes as people who show up, like that seems like a different story. So
right, again, Todd and I.
Yep.
Isn't it right, Todd? You and I vote. Sue's vote doesn't trump our vote from the city of Charlotte.
Yeah, and as I think about this, I think the way here, I'm trying to open up the bylaws as we're talking so I can give you a little bit better information. But I think she has a vote in like the general membership, but on the board of directors, it would be, I think it's one vote per commission, and that would be, Jessica, I guess, to actually do that. I have to look at the bylaws, to be honest. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I will forward this to you so you can take a look at it.
Todd, can you send me forward the Zoom information for that? If you did, I apologize, but I don't see it in my email.
Yeah, I think Curtis sent it initially, so I'll send the one. I'll forward that to everybody. Yeah, no worries.
I know I was done with my updates, but I was thinking about what Catherine and Lindale were saying. And I'm curious, Todd, could we petition to the city to close Heather's Way? What does that entail? And can we pursue that as a Human Rights Commission? I'm just curious.
I don't know why you couldn't make the proposal. I don't know what all they'd say to that, but yeah, if that's something you want to propose and see what council says about it, yeah, you could do that.
Yes, Catherine, did you have a visceral reaction to that too?
I just want to, I guess, reiterate the point, like, to make sure they understand that closing it to traffic, but in no way regulating the people who can go there. There's a lot of people with a lot of embodied trauma in that spot. And I think it would be asking for serious problems if people were prohibited from being in that space.
Yes, Lindell.
Yes, so I agree with that, but I also want to clarify that we are talking about just in this conversation, the question you're asking is to petition City Council to close it to vehicular traffic that day or permanently. What are you actually saying?
I'm asking, does commission want to propose permanently closing that down to
okay,
traffic?
That's a different question then. Yeah, that's a bigger question in my opinion. I think that should be a community conversation more than just us making that proposal to City Council. Even though I agree with Catherine that closing it permanently would be a great thing, I don't think that we should make that decision on our own without some community dialogue. That's just my thought.
Yes, Catherine.
Sorry to keep, so we're talking about closing it permanently. This is something near and dear to my heart. And I would just like to say at some point, we don't have to take it up now. Pedestrian safety is a serious equity issue. And the way we design our city around cars has serious implications for health and well-being that disproportionately affects the most vulnerable. And I would love to see the Human Rights Commission take that on as we're moving forward with zoning code changes. And there's a lot of work going on in the city. This is a great time to start talking about it. And we could be a group to kind of champion that.
Yes, Mary.
Yeah, I just want to follow up. I read an article, I think in the, I don't know, it was online, so who knows what it was in, I think, but there was a study about pedestrian deaths nationwide being at their highest rate in 40 years today, and that it is kind of very overwhelmingly Black, Indigenous, and other people of color who are affected by those, the lack of safety. So I certainly think it's an appropriate issue for the Human Rights Commission and an issue of, racial justice and equity.
I just wanted to go back to that. I don't know of any actions, but I agree with everything that you guys said. I just didn't want it to, I didn't want to move on and not acknowledge I was thinking about that, and agreed for further community dialogue. I want to ask, what do you guys think about us proposing for them to close it to vehicular traffic for that day?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so that's something we can follow up with Ashley, Todd.
Yep, you can do that.
Okay. All right, any other thoughts on this before? Oh, Lindell and Mary at the same time. I saw Lindell first.
Okay, sorry to keep belaboring this, but just to throw this out there, you know, as we continue, and I hope we are going to continue to have town halls, and we should probably talk about that again when our next one is, but maybe we could add this conversation to one of those potentials for people to choose from to talk about that, because while I do think that the community probably would largely be in support of this, I think that there's more power for us to go and take this to City Council if we've had a community conversation and gotten a lot of feedback. Then we can say we've heard from a lot of people and they agree. We will also get people who will say absolutely not, they don't like it. But if we frame it as a human rights issue, then that's the dialogue that we will get from people that we can then add to our voices.
Yes, Mary.
Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to say is that I recall on at least one anniversary, I don't recall whether it was the first or second anniversary, that the response was just so highly militarized. There were so many helicopters flying over all day, so many, cops in sort of military gear. And I really don't think that that's what the community needs. And so, as you're having those conversations with Ashley, I just think we should be thinking about like that and what the message that we're sending, and kind of re-traumatizing people through that. So I just raised that because I think, maybe as a reaction to the police not doing anything on August 12th, 2017, next year we came back with guns a-blazing, but I would just suggest that's not the appropriate response either.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yes,
Catherine,
whatever message you could give is not having police and militarized presence in the city on that day. Yes. Absolutely not.
And I feel like I failed in conveying to you guys Ashley, so that's why I sent you the email, but she did express that she doesn't want the police to be here, and more so her tone was that she also didn't necessarily want the city to lead the effort either, because she personally feels like she wasn't here and wasn't a part of that, and so wanted to be respectful of that also. So please read it. I didn't do a good job conveying it the way that she may have written it, but yeah, Catherine, do you have something you wanted to say?
I was going to say about a million other things about the pedestrian issue, but I could talk from now till tomorrow morning on it. So I decided to lower my hand, and maybe we'll have a meeting about that.
Be a great topic for a town hall, really.
Yep.
Okay, so now I am going to say something. I would actually suggest, I think and talk about this stuff a lot in sort of informal circles. And what I think would actually be really helpful is to have some kind of event with somebody who is deeply knowledgeable. And we actually have some local people who are to talk about it, because what I find is that people's initial reaction, what they want is it's counterintuitive. So people are like, we have more deaths, we need bigger roads, right? So that cars have more room. Well, that's actually part of the problem. The reason pedestrian deaths have gone up in the pandemic is because there have been fewer cars on the road, so they drive faster. what we need are narrower streets. We need less parking, anyway. So I would love to have somebody come and sort of talk about it with an equity lens, and then have us have some kind of town hall, if that makes sense.
Yep, I like that. Yeah. Would it be worth having that? I mean, I guess inviting someone to the Human Rights Commission to talk about that would be an open meeting, but I think it'd be something. It would be nice to really publicize that person is going to be giving that talk, so that we make sure that people show up in addition to us to hear that conversation.
I think it's how we did the other town halls. We did have a bit of like informational sharing. So I think still combining it in a town hall with featuring a presenter to come and talk about this issue. I think it'd be a great time after that when they've presented to then have community members comment, is my thought, because we did that before. So yeah, we're jumping all over, but I think something just for us to think about definitely when we go to the strategic planning section of our agenda. I just have to, sorry, I have to say this. I feel like you, Catherine, like I just have to say this. Like I moved to Charlottesville a month before what happened on the downtown mall. And I tell people all the time, I love Charlottesville. And they're like, why? I'm like, I love it. It was being here and having people like Lindell and other friends who like were born and raised here, just to tell me that wasn't us, that didn't reflect Charlottesville, didn't reflect who we were. It maybe in some ways Lindell, but it just, so to me, it has a very significant marker in my coming here into Charlottesville, and just all of the pain and the trauma. And I just want to throw this out there. I think about a lot about, healing work. It would be nice to have a healing space. I know we're trying to avoid that and cops and all of that, but I'd love to just propose that, to maybe potentially create safe spaces and bring in therapists, on that day, just to help. There's something about the community here that I love, that I feel like when I'm in community, I get the healing that I need. When I'm around other people here in Charlottesville, I'm getting what I need. So I just wanted to throw that out there, why it was actively on my mind, Catherine, when you said that, like, right, there's trauma lives within us all very differently. But even for a location, right, it's very significant. I just want to throw that out there as we're thinking. I definitely think we should have a conversation with community members. And I think that is the tone of what Ashley was trying to invoke. But I think bringing all of these into consideration, we should be a part of the conversation, or help with facilitation for the community to come and bring their ideas of what they want and they need. So we're respectful of how different people want to reflect that. Sorry, I just have to take a deep breath. This is all like very hard to just be like, okay, next thing. I don't think we have any ad hoc committee updates. Is that true? Do we have any ad hoc committee updates? So that's no. So then to go to the strategic action plan for annual meeting, the thing that I was talking about, Todd, is number 3, equity in the city review. The way that this is written here is not quite what I understood. I thought that we were saying more so we wanted to follow up with city council about certain issues. We can bring them to them certain issues. But maybe I just not remembering it correctly. But so is this an action item for us, Todd, that we have to vote on, or we're just discussing it right now?
So I think where we left it was you had identified some focus areas and wanted to then decide on action steps within those focus areas to try to move toward achieving the goals in those focus areas. With regard to your other question The number 3 there. Yes, following up with city council. I think some of those things I pulled off of the, looking at it now. I think out of the discussion of what you wanted to do in terms of looking at the drawing, it's a little, I have to like sort of find my place in it. But no, correct any of that stuff. That was just an attempt at trying to summarize what I heard in the meeting. But if that's wrong, by all means, correct it. That's no problem at all. And your other question was, are there any ad hoc committee updates? I think that were Wolfgang here, they would talk about the plain language version of the advocacy and action resolution, which is attached here in the agenda packet that they worked on. So, but I don't know if you want to deal with that without Wolfgang present.
I can just mention that we did work on it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't raise my hand. Yeah, so Wolfgang and I did meet and worked on this together, and then put in that, you should have it, Todd, as you're saying, that's what's attached, right? That I'm pretty sure I saw that. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know what Wolfgang would add, except that that's the work that we did, and I think it's for the commission to look at now. Was there something else you were thinking, Todd? Should we wait for Wolfgang to do that? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if you had anything else to talk about on it. That's all. I just received it from Wolfgang, and so wasn't sure what conversations had gone on to like produce the document. But if you as a commission feel comfortable with that as the plain language version of resolution, what is it, 821-1, which is the advocacy and action resolution, then you could vote on it, and or discuss if you need to make any changes to make it the way you want it.
Yeah. So what is attached is the draft that Wolfgang and I worked on, and so I guess our choices are to wait for Wolfgang to talk about it more if anyone had any questions, or if you've all read it and then want to edit it or approve it or not approve it. I think those are our options.
I'm happy to wait on Wolfgang. That's fine. But this is also the one that needs not my signature, but Mary's signature. Is that correct? So is that true, Todd?
Well, in this case, no, because that was one thing I noticed on it. It was that, because it's a rewrite of something that's happening right now, you could sign that, right? So you're voting on this particular resolution now. So that would be your signature.
Okay, so then we can add this for maybe next meeting to vote on. All right, so I guess for the meat of the meeting, not to belabor y'all longer, we can go kind of one by one with the retreat items. So the idea to the public that maybe didn't watch our retreat, you wanted to come together and identify areas that the Human Rights Commission would focus on. It does not mean that things will come up and we will not be responsive to, but we wanted to give laser focus to areas of concern that we've heard from our town hall meetings. And so we came up with the housing equity assessment, community engagement, equity in the city government review, and then Human Rights Commission in the Office of Human Rights capacity to be able to add more staff to Todd's office. So those are the main things. And as Todd said, we're hoping today to identify some action items. Thanks again to the commission for putting these together and bearing with us on the screen share and marking it up and all your thoughts and ideas. And so this was condensed down. If you're looking at our agenda, the 2 screen snaps are of us just literally like brainstorming and and dumping on that what we felt was important or issues that we had. And then the second page with all the blue was kind of categorizing them so we can group them together. So I will hush and let others let me know your thoughts. So we can go by one. So we can start with the human equity assessment. Hopefully today we can walk away with some action items we talked about during our retreat, potentially having ad hoc meetings. What we would like to do for each of them is being able to identify, like if we want to, like the community engagement, right? We already have an ad hoc community engagement team. We'll discuss about like next actions, what does it look like? And then eventually be able to, if for example, we need to do more diligence and find more research, we'll do that if that's the part of the plan, with eventually being able to have these in a very like concise and clear way so that we can present this to City Council on a regular basis for their action and attention. So I'll start with y'all thoughts for the housing equity assessment. So we're assessing the state of the emergency, transitional, and deeply affordable housing, assess the state of the continuum of care for people experiencing homelessness, test fair housing compliance with the Charlottesville housing market, continue to pursue fair housing assistance program, shared with HUD, provide recommendations to council based on the above assessments. Yes, Mary.
So there was other sort of housing work that we talked about, and I'm just wondering like whether we kind of officially excluded that or whether we just sort of said let's focus on this. But for example, I know we had taken positions about providing lawyers to tenants in eviction proceedings, and we talked about also the other issue that was raised where we recommended City Council pursue legislative change to allow localities to bring conditions cases so that tenants are not forced to do that. And that was a bill that made it through the General Assembly and then was vetoed by the governor. But so at any rate, like there were just some other things bubbling there that like weren't encapsulated in this. And I don't know, maybe we're not moving on all of them, but I just raised that for what it's worth.
It's worth everything that you just said it was worth, Mary. I think Todd was summarizing it. I'm looking back at the actual notes, and it could have been very likely I just got lost in translation because it wasn't on the screen snap, the screen grabs. So I think we should add that in there.
I think certainly talking about, because we have heard about sort of housing condition issues, like to sort of explicitly, include that as an issue that certainly has equity implications.
Again, I can speak for Todd, but I don't think this was meant like this is it. This is the law. This is all we're doing. I think this is meant to be a discussion, and yeah, I think this is meant to be a discussion. What we need to add. So thank you for adding that. I'd love to hear from the commission of like our plan of action, and it could be like let's have a committee to figure out the plan of action too, but not to have it all ironed out today, but kind of next steps. We're going to be taking this on. It'll be a major focus. I thought initially, I keep saying ad hoc committee because I think very consecrated is not the word I meant, very concentrated work with a few people working on it. Not to mean that we can't all work on it, but I've just seen when we kind of get together, we work on it and we come back and reveal it, that it has focus and it's able to move forward. But I'm just proposing that. It doesn't mean it has to be that what we do. We can all just keep talking about it. I'm fine with that. But I just wanted to give you my reasoning for why I keep mentioning ad hoc committees. Yes, Jeanette.
One thing, we had talked about this before, and I know we probably can't resolve it, but this seems like it will take some resources to do. And I'm like, are we thinking that we will be the researchers, or we will contract out with someone to do that research? I think that's a significant question I have. I doubt the staff has the capacity, right? Like in terms of your plates are quite full.
Yeah, and I think, you can also decide like how much research is actually required. Like you could also look at the feedback you got from your town hall, the notes that I attached from the rumbles around, rumbles to use Ashley's word, the rumbles in Summit around the current state of homelessness supports in Charlottesville, the notes from the meetings that TJAC held with the petitioners from people who are currently living on the downtown mall and experiencing homelessness. So there's a lot of feedback you can use to decide like what else do you need to know, and if you need to do research, you could, or you could ask us to like try to find any documents that you want that you can't find yourselves. But there's quite a bit of data out there already that you could probably start to formulate what you want. And the other way you could go about this is to invite people who are working on this problem within the city government and or in nonprofits or whatever sectors to come to the commission meeting to give you more information about questions that you have. So there are ways you can get the information you need without having to, say, do a sort of elaborate research project, but just putting that out there.
I was going to say, Jeanette, I think we can also think about, like, if we don't have the information, who can we potentially partner with in the city to get the information?
It's probably also important to note that, again, like Jessica was saying, that this is just a list that summarizes what you talked about in the meeting. You can narrow your focus if there's one piece of this that looks really important, some aspect of any of these issues that you really want to put your focus on. You have the prerogative to make that decision. So keep it in mind. This is merely something food for thought at this point.
Well, I would be inclined to like punt the housing stuff to like a housing subcommittee to like create a plan of action, which I'd be glad to participate in. I mean, I guess we could do it here in this group, but it seems to me like it's each of these topics requires kind of its own dedicated time, but
yeah. So I'm kind of looking at y'all faces, kind of doing a mood check for a moment. Like, it's very hard to read the room. I'm not in y'all presence, but I'm just kind of watching y'all reaction to this. So I'm happy to put all of these into ad hoc committees, and then we meet. I know there's limitations though, Todd, as far as like being able to have meetings together. Well, two of us can, two of us, isn't two of us the magic number? We don't have to post it. Okay. So two of us can meet to discuss it without posting. Okay, perfect. Okay. So yeah, let's craftily create just two of us. No, I know we have some commissioners they're not here also. So, but yes, Lindell.
So I think the idea of creating subcommittees on each of these is a good idea so that we can move forward and talk about it. And I feel like the energy is a little weird tonight. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, it is. There's a weird vibe, and I gotta call it out. It's not any one person. It's just something about the energy is not there.
But I did want to say, while we're talking about housing, that something that's come up a lot, and it comes up every year when tax time comes around and we're facing tax time again for real estate and personal property taxes. And I'm sure you're all aware that that there are significantly higher tax bills this year for personal property tax and real estate, combined with increases in assessment values of housing and an increase in the tax rate And every year there are families, Black families, who struggle mightily to come up with those tax payments. And the city really needs to figure out a way to deal with this. And so I don't know what we can do and what power we have and what we could suggest, but it's just going to be worse this year than it has been even in prior years. And so we need to do something about it. I mean, it's one thing for the community members to come together and fundraise and help pay these taxes, but this is not something, I think this is something the city needs to deal with. So just, there needs to be a fund. There needs to be a way for families to pay these taxes without losing their homes or even stressing about losing their homes over non-payment of taxes. So I think it's something we should add to our list of things to talk about.
Yes, Catherine.
I think that's a really important issue. I know the city has done some things. It turns out that the city was not in compliance with the code and was not offering relief. I don't know if you guys followed all this. Like there's a cap on how expensive your house can be, and have you be able to get relief from property tax. And the assessments bumped some people over that cap, but it turns out the city's cap was too low and that there were other ways they could have done it. So I think there's been some movement in the city to address all that. I guess what I'm saying is I think we should, this is complicated and technical, and I think we should talk to someone who actually knows a lot about this to decide what we should do.
I would totally agree with that. I think having an expert come in is a really good idea. And I would just say that what I see and hear is that even when the city offers relief and has offered relief in the past, it's nowhere near enough, that there are still families who are like just not able to take advantage of it. And yeah, maybe we need to be a little bit more aggressive in where that cap is, like lower it a lot.
Part of the technicality of it is I don't think we have freedom to do anything because of Dillon rule issues.
I hear that. I hear that. But I think that maybe there are other creative things that we can do. I don't know, right? Like maybe we can make sure that money gets to an organization that can then help, right? I don't know.
Okay, I want to move us off of this for some reason because it's just, I don't know what's going on tonight. So can someone propose that we move these into ad hoc committees? I don't know if I can do that. If I can do that, can someone first second? Let's please move this forward.
So moved or seconded or whatever.
You don't have to vote on that. That's just a thing you can do. Yeah, create some subcommittees. Right. Ask for volunteers, totally good. Yeah. And then we just got to find some dates.
So I know Jeanette and I are kind of like volunteered. We've both volunteered for the committee engagement. Who would like to be on the housing equity assessment? Okay, Mary. Who would like it to be on the equity and the city government review?
Wait a minute. There's just Mary. That's a sad committee. That's a sad.
Well, Mary, the reason why I moved on because we have commissioners that are not here that I'm sure.
All right, okay, but you're gonna dragoon somebody into.
Yes.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sorry, Lindell. Yes, we're on it too. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Was
Lindell.
Andy on it too?
Oh yeah, he was. Yes. So, Todd, is it possible to send this out? Did you just send this initially just to me and Ernest?
This list? Yeah, I sent it to you all to say, is this an accurate summary? And then when you felt like it was okay, I just dropped it in the agenda packet so everybody could look at it. But,
so I apologize to all of y'all because y'all like this is the first time, or maybe like right before, like this is seeing it. So that is all on my bed. So yes, Todd, could you resend this to everyone after and then list who's a part of each one? And then ask like
for committees. Yeah, I can rewrite this or edit this thing. What do we call it? The summary to include who's on each committee. Certainly.
Yeah.
And just a question, I do recall Ernest being a part of community engagement, I think. Is that right? Previously, but he's obviously not here to say whether he wants to continue, but just give him that space if he's interested.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I again, I just want to apologize to the commission. There's been a lot of like things happening on my end, and I don't get to focus on this like I want to. So, equity in city government review. Did anyone? I'm sorry, vote to be on that? Catherine, yay! You're a winner. And anyone else? Yes, Jeanette.
After we go through these committees, I was just wondering if we could take a 5-minute break.
Yes. The last is the Human Rights Commission Office of Human Rights Expansion. I don't know if that one per se needs. Of all the ones, I don't know if that one per se needs an ad hoc, but we can put someone on it. Does someone want to volunteer for that? I guess I'm defaulting that they would work closely with you, Todd, right?
I could foresee this being more of a thing when it comes time to present the 2021 annual report. And there's rumors of a potential work session with council coming up. It's probably contingent upon me getting the report and the ordinance together. So I really want to try to carve out the time to make that happen so that we have a really solid, ready to go presentation and just we have our kind of our talking points. So at that point, maybe you can revisit who you want to go. Jessica, of course, I would lean to you to as the chair to come with me, but if anyone else wants to join, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Okay. So yeah, let's just pause. To those that are watching us, we're just going to pause for 5 minutes and then we'll come back for public comment. I think that's the only thing left. So let's just pause for 5 minutes. So come back at 4:41, I guess, if I can do the math, something 4:42-ish sometime. Todd, do you have a timer to display for 5 minutes?
I could put a timer up, I guess. Probably take me 2 minutes to come up with the timer, but I'll work on it.
Okay, thanks.
Subtract the time I've spent searching for it.
Oh, sorry. I was like, you're smiling. You want me to smile? Todd, do I have to call us back to order?
Oh, that's a good question. We didn't really do that. Sure. 5 minutes ago was 7 something. Yeah, 7:44 now. Go ahead. You tell them.
All right, we're calling our meeting back to order at 7:45 p.m. I just wanted to pause, and I think I'm grateful that we had a pause in 5 minutes. I just wanted to say I appreciate all of you for coming in and pushing through. I know it's the end of the year. I know there's a lot that we are individually carrying, and yet we still show up and we volunteer our time for here. So I just want to hold space for all of the feelings that we may be feeling in this moment, in this time. I appreciate you guys showing up. So we will not keep you any much longer, and we'll open up for public comment.
We have one person in the attendees right now. If you would like to speak, just raise your hand. If you're on Zoom, if you're joining by phone, you can use *9 and that will raise your hand. And no raised hands at the moment.
Okay. Still hand not raised. Okay. So let's move in. Well, there's no response. Do we have any commissioner updates? Lindell, then Catherine.
Okay. Sorry, I do have one quick thing about the National Society of Black Physicists meeting. I have not been able to get in touch with Ashley to ask her to, so if either of you are in touch with her, could you make the connection with me on that? I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Catherine.
This isn't really an update, but just letting you know that I'm going on the UVA Memory Project / Jefferson School African American Heritage Center Civil Rights Bus Tour at the end of June. So if there are any issues that I can look into for the Human Rights Commission and bring them back, let me know. I can send you the itinerary if you guys are interested.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested. I'm so glad you get to go on that.
Yeah, I'm the medic, so that's how I get to go.
Oh, okay. But still, nevertheless, I looked at that and I saw the price and was like, the way my pockets are set up for that, but that's good. Catherine, did you have any updates about the Martha rules?
I sent you an email.
Okay.
Before the retreat, actually. Did you get that?
I just want to make sure you didn't have anything else.
I didn't have anything since then. Okay.
Okay, we're good. Any other commissioner updates?
I do have a question. I do have a question, which is, what is going to be our process for setting committee times? Is someone going to be appointed to do that, or how will we do that?
Yeah, thank you for following up and asking. I looked at Todd.
It's not really an update, so just
we get to, yeah. Go ahead, Todd.
Let's talk about that. So I clearly have some things to learn about whether or not we can broadcast and all that thing on the Zoom webinar. However, what that seems to mean to me is that we kind of have a lot more flexibility in terms of running meetings if it seems to be working. I guess we'll find out after the fact if we've completely failed to do this properly. But if it means that we can have more than, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 meetings a month, then we have flexibility to figure out the schedule then, because we're not coordinating with communications. I don't think, unless they only have but so many Zoom webinar accounts and we have to like reserve the account, because I think there's 2 that they use for webinars. So it sounds like I have some questions to ask communications, but in my feeling is that if you want to schedule them. It is sort of nice to group them in one time frame and just sort of have them back to back. But if you want to be flexible about it, given everybody's schedule, let me know. We can figure it out.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, Mary. Thank you for that. Should we try to schedule now the 4 just upcoming? That way it's on, and then we can pivot if we've gotten other advice. Does that sound good to everyone? Okay. I love the back-to-back that we did, Todd. I'm not on all 4 of them, so but it, to kind of group them. I like that idea.
So I could pitch the idea that we could open up the city calendar. I'm going to close the big timer thingy on my other screen, but we could open up the city calendar to make sure that we are picking a time that maybe doesn't overlap with other major meetings. I know that we were, for a while there, we were just doing other Thursday evenings, but I know that some folks had expressed an interest in doing daytime meetings. So maybe you could start with that, that idea. Do you want to have a set time where we just kind of lump all the committees into one linear meeting, or do you want to try to break them up over multiple meetings, and do you want them evening or during the day? I'll open the city calendar and see if we can get some info on that, but yeah, that'd be a good starting point.
I think a mixture of during the day. What do y'all think? During the day, or a mixture of during the day and evening, or only all in evening?
I don't have specific restrictions.
And thank you, Victoria. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk about your flyer. You mentioned it, but I'm seeing the flyers and they are really nice. I love the updates, and they're very informational. Like it's very informative. Hey, Ernest, we are towards the end. We just actually paused for 5 minutes and then came back, but we've decided in the meeting today of the 4 focused areas that we've assigned. Our people have volunteered to be on ad hoc committees, and right now at the moment we are wanting, Todd is looking at the city website to see how we can go about scheduling those ad hoc committees. So we wanted to go ahead and get that on the calendar, or we can pivot if we need. But right now, if you may notice that Todd is full control over the meeting, that we're not broadcasting. So it may or may not allow us more flexibility as we move forward. So just want to update you.
Oh, what happened to the broadcast?
We don't know. We don't know how to figure it out. We're recording it because we don't know how to figure out the live.
Gotcha. Oh man. So no new communications for
You're breaking up really bad, Ernest.
I'm out in the woods, so I'm sorry.
I heard that. You're in the woods. You're sorry. Ernest, do you want to stay on the community engagement ad hoc committee?
Yes. Yes, okay. Did you hear that?
Yes, I heard you.
Okay.
Are there other restrictions people have at their time? So let's go ahead and plan out the housing equity assessment. Mary, that's to you at the moment, unless other commissioners that are not here want to volunteer.
All right. Well, anytime available is good for me.
Do you want to pitch a day of the week and a time, and then maybe if we want to try to do the group of meetings, and then if we find that not everybody can use that day and time, then we can start to split out, but maybe start with that.
Well, I mean, if it were just me, I'd pick an evening because they're easier for me, but I can make days work if we want to group things during the day. Just, I can make either thing work.
Any particular day of the week that you'd like to choose? I would say maybe as a general rule, avoiding Mondays so you don't conflict with council meetings unless you. And then
Thursday.
You could do Thursdays. I think second Thursdays are typically Let me look at, I'm gonna look at June's calendar. Police Civilian Oversight Board, at least at this time. Let me go to the bigger calendar here. I see the next Police Civilian Oversight Board is June 9th. So I think that might be the second Thursday.
Is there anything on June 2nd? Give time.
Let's have a look here.
I just don't want the idea of it having it right after, like the next week after a commission meeting.
So, oh gosh, I'm not very good at navigating the calendar here. Here we go, June 2nd. So it looks like nothing appears to be on for June the 2nd. So.
Well, that day works for me.
Do you want to do it 6:30 or
Yeah,
do you have
sure.
a preference? Okay. So if we use June 2nd, I have to make sure, hold on for 1 second, because there is some point at which I'm supposed to go with my family somewhere, and I have not put that on my calendar conveniently. Let me see it. Well, it's not on the city calendar, at least. Let me look at the June 2nd. Yes, I may actually be out of town that day. So that might be hard. Let me scroll through. I got 2 calendars open now so we can compare.
Todd, are you gone that whole week, or should we just look for a different week?
Yeah, let me see here. What is the proposal? Yes, it looks like I'm gone that whole week. And then the 9th is the next week is that Thursday.
I mean, we could do a different day. We could do the 8th.
Yep. Let's have a look here. I should be around on the 8th. That'd be a Wednesday. Let's have a look. And the city calendar appears to have nothing on June 8th. So that should give us, if there is a conflict with Zoom calendar or Zoom accounts, that should give us some flexibility. Do you want to do Wednesday, June 8th? Okay.
Works for me.
And we'll say 6:30. We'll run it like we do a normal meeting as long as we need to for all committees to meet. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so you're going to stack. So you'll stagger them, like they have 30 minutes in the next ad hoc committee meeting, or?
Yeah, like we won't turn off the webinar. We'll just kind of keep it running. And then when one committee finishes, the other can start, and we can say, times that we're proposing for one to end and one to begin. How much time do you think you want for each committee? You got 4?
I mean, I do feel like if what we're asking the committees to do now is to create a plan of action, that could take longer than our 30 minutes, and that maybe we should have an hour per committee for this, because it's a longer obligation, I think.
So can we do then 2 that day? Because you're going to go 6:30 to 7:30, 7:30 to 8:30. It starts to get late. Personally, I'd like to be able to spend some time with my kids before they go to bed. But can we break it up in 2 days? Or, what do y'all think? I'm sorry. I don't mean to impose what we do because of my schedule. Just y'all let me know what you would like to do.
And apologize if I was unclear. You don't have 4 committees because the 4th topic, we're not really committeeing yet. So just, you need 1 more hour somewhere in there.
Okay. I mean, do y'all want to do it 3 hours all in one day, or do you want to break it up? Not any one of us is going to be on there for 3 hours, but just.
I think that's a question for Todd, right? This is about Todd's time.
I'll do it if you want me to.
Run it all together.
I want to make it work for you guys, so I don't mind. I can do 3-hour meetings, but yeah, I don't expect all of y'all to be at each one of those unless you really want to.
I'm fine with all 3 in one day.
Okay. Sounds good.
Are we moving towards the earlier though, like starting at 4:30? Is that what you're saying? Or we're going to go to
30 to 9:30.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. So actually,
it's my bedtime now.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I would say 8 is the latest. I mean, did we, I'm sorry if I missed it. Did we really have conversation about having it in the daytime? Like, what if we did something like 3:30 to 3 to 6 or something? For those who could do it in the daytime and may not be, I don't know.
You can certainly pick another day. I don't worry about me. Like, I want to work with your schedules. So if you want to break it up over 2 different dates, that's totally fine. Like
that would work for me. The 3 to 4, I just like 4 to 5. I mean, the committee engagement would be 4 to 5. That would work for me. I have a hard cutoff at 5. I have to leave to get my kids. So. Yay, nay to the 4 to 5 on Wednesday, June 8th. I mean, 4, sorry, I can't do math right now. 3 to 6, sorry. So the first hour will be the housing committee assessment, 1 hour, 3 to 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 is the community engagement, and 5 to 6 is the equity and city government review.
That works for me.
I'm sorry, Jessica, could you say that one more time? It just, yeah, just the times.
I'm sorry. We're recommending 3 to 4 on the 8th. And then the first meeting will be the housing equity from 3 to 4. From 4 to 5 is the community engagement. And from 5 to 6 is the equity and city government review.
If this is getting too complicated, I'd be happy to set up a Sign Up Genius and see if folks can attend, or a doodle poll or something.
That actually might be good since we have so many commissioners missing. Let's do that.
Sounds good.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I agree. I could make the 3 o'clock for the housing, but I don't want to be the only one there because that'll just be sad.
Okay, so Jeanette, can you set that up potentially? And then that when Todd, if you can send it to Todd, and then when Todd sends out this email and, you know, letting everyone know like where they're assigned to, and then asking the commissioners that aren't here where they want to assign, then they'll know, and then they can appropriately fill out the poll. Okay, any other commissioner updates? Ernest, do you have anything?
I do not have anything. I'll get with you and Todd on Monday or Tuesday. We can talk there.
Okay. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for powering through tonight. It was heavy. I just have to acknowledge that it was heavy. And oh wait, I didn't talk about next steps in adjourning. Next steps are that we're gonna have ad hoc committees for our focus areas, and Todd will send that out to everyone. And I'm blanking on what other next steps we have, Todd. Isn't there a resolution we need to get signed? Mary had to sign. We didn't talk about it today, but isn't there?
Yes, HR 21-1. I think, Mary, let me know. You can reach out to me via email if you need anything on that still, but I think you may have that document. If you need a copy that's easier to work with, just let me know. And then I have some minutes to work on so that those are updated before we post the finalized approved minutes.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to end the meeting at 8:03 p.m. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Jessica. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Jessica. Thank everybody.